The real value of the SENSOR programme is that it's independent, rigorous, international level science going on to test how well a certification standard works. It's really important for the buyers of RSPO certified palm oil that what they're buying into is real sustainability. I'm Jen Lucy, I work at the University of Oxford and I work on the SENSOR programme, the Socially and Environmentally Sustainable Oil Palm Research Programme. Malaysia and Indonesia produce 80% of global palm oil. It's brilliant for local economies, it's great for poverty alleviation, a whole range of economic situations, but the trouble is that palm oil grows best in areas where rainforest grows. And so with the rapid expansion of the industry, there's been a lot of destruction of rainforests and the associated biodiversity that goes with it. The industry has stood up to listen to this criticism, and the Roundtable on Sustainable Palm Oil was set up to address this issue, to try and rebalance the economic benefits of the industry, but also try to reduce the environmental and the social impacts that it can have. The first phase of the SENSOR programme was to collate all the existing scientific evidence which was in the literature, which might not be available to non-scientists in the industry. So we looked at the full range of sustainability standards and produced a set of science for policy papers. We also do a lot of knowledge exchange, so not just putting that information out there, but working with the RSPO working groups to actually use the information, to work out where the information fits into the development of industry guidelines and best practice, and the development of policy for the sustainability standards. So one of the big projects we did last year was to look at the aspects of conservation set-aside. So the Roundtable on Sustainable Palm Oil uses the High Conservation Value approach, or HCV approach, to meet its standards on biodiversity conservation. But one of the big questions is how big do these conservation set-asides need to be to conserve biodiversity? So what we did was to collect all the data we could find in the scientific literature to work out what a suitable size for a conservation set-aside should be. And what we found was that areas of just a few tens of hectares were really too small. They weren't supporting very much more biodiversity than the oil palm plantations themselves. But once you got to a few hundred hectares, so 200 hectares, 300 hectares, 500 hectares, then you could start to support a substantial proportion of the kinds of biodiversity you'd find in an area of continuous rainforest. And so these were the recommendations that we made. And these recommendations for viable forest patch size have been taken up into the latest toolkit, which some of the biggest players in the oil palm industry are now implementing. The second phase of the programme is to see where those knowledge gaps are in the scientific evidence base, and to send scientists out into the field to collect new data and information on levels of biodiversity, greenhouse gas emissions, soil and water information, to collect surveys from smallholders and local communities. It is a work in progress and improvement over time, and we hope that the findings from the SENSOR programme go into the 5-year review of the RSPO's principles and criteria, and that there's a real uptake of the recommendations that we can provide to help improve sustainability of the palm industry in the future.